So this is the first part that you will do to your rug. I do have it secured on the back, but when you fold it, it opens up. So this has to be stitched. Now, I wouldn't use a white thread or an off-white thread. You don't want to use anything like that. Just use something that sort of blends in. This, by the way, is the string that I'm going to be including in the D-Rug kits and probably in quite a few more kits. It's wool, and this is it. Lots of it. It's wool thread, very fine, and I dye it, and it gets to be that color, a really nice soft brown color. So that's going to be used in some kits, especially the D kit. The thing is, I put it on my wool winder because I'd like to do my string like that rather than the long hanks, but I can't get it off. It won't come off. It just won't budge. So I guess that's it. In the balls of string that I've sent out, if you remember in your kits, this is the way the string comes, and you pull one. You just pull it out, and then you cut it in half. Then you cut it, well, that knot shouldn't be there. You cut it in half, and if I thread my needle with the half, that should do easily do two blanket stitchings of the 1.5 inch with some left over. So that's how I judge my string if I'm putting a kit together. One long piece of string equals 4 of these, and then I think it's 6 of the 1 inch, something like that. So in some of the yarn, you'll notice that you'll pull it off and there's knots. Well, the thing is, I didn't know that I couldn't put the string, the yarn, the same as I did the string. So we did it. We cut enough for, I think, 12, 13 kits, which is a lot, because every kit is 3. And he tied it together, and I dyed it. With this, when you put the wool yarn in a dye pot, even the threads do to a certain extent, but it expands. So every place there was a knot, of course, there was a white place because the dye didn't get in there. Even some of the string will do that. So I pretty much had to get rid of all of those. The light ones were not that bad, so I could salvage some of the light ones. So we had to do that all over again. And this time we didn't cut them. We measured them out. We put them in a ball like this. Whoops. The exact amount. Then we put it on the wool winder, and we made these. But the ones that I did use, you'll notice that some of them will have threads knotted together. You'll pull it, and there's a knot. That's where you would cut your thread and have that, and then put that in your needle, because that would be enough to do 2 of the 1.5 inch pennies. And when we finished with the ones that we could use, then there are no knots. Every now and then there may be a knot where the thread broke, but that's what the knots mean. If you have some of the balls with knots, you pull your string and there's a knot. Another place there's a knot. That's the place where the knots are, where you cut your string for your length. Okay, so first thing you do is you need to stitch these together somehow. And it doesn't matter, a neutral thread, thin. If you're using floss, it would be like a 1-strand floss. Something like that. I'm using this thread. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can do what do they call that? Just a regular, whoops, that shouldn't be there. Well, we'll just pretend that knot's down there. Whip stitch, you can just do a regular type of very small whip stitch, just to catch the two pieces. See, that almost disappears. And I would say whip stitch would be fine, but you can do a herringbone, something decorative if you want to. But the point is you use a color of thread that pretty much becomes invisible. Can you see that? You can't even see the thread. So that's what you would do to all of these places. And I did mention that that was wrong. The thing is, if you start from here, you really should turn your rug around. Please excuse the little technical difficulty. My memory card was full, so I had to stop in mid telling you things. So I'm going to review that. You use your threads to stitch these. I would stitch from the top down. Make sure you secure your thread back, because the diamond is not exact on all 4 sides. It's smaller on this side than it is on this, and the reason is when you put your pennies on, I gave you a little bit of extra wiggle room because you need to tidy up the edge. So it's about that much, probably. You need to tidy the edge up, and you may run into problems with your spacing, so you have that much all the way around to work with. And then once your pennies are stitched on, you will go around and you would tidy up that edge to begin your blanket stitching of the edge. The other thing is, this is quite thick. It's pretty strong. I have no problem with it. The odd time it will break while I'm stitching. Very seldom. It's pretty strong. And it's very important that you have a large eye. Let me see. Okay, large eye in your needle. This is probably a 2022, the same that as Colleen uses. I think she sent me these. So a very large eye, because if you try to put your thread, your yarn through a small eye, it will chafe it, and it will fall apart at some point while you're stitching. The other thing is, don't even try. Do not even try. These are very inexpensive. I use the large one for the large eye. Put that in. And thread. Just as easy as that. It's also better because it's easier on the wool too. So, I think we are pretty much ready to start putting the rug together and doing the stitching. So I will get ready and clear some of these things away, and I think we'll do that in part 3. Before I actually get into placing the pennies on and showing you how to do the stitching and that type of thing, I wanted to show you different things, different places in the rug that could go wrong. And of course, with me, it did go wrong. Not that I meant to have it go wrong to show you, it's just that I didn't realize I was doing it at the time. So, the first thing is, when you come down to the edge, because you have this much, this is too much. It's too wide, because if you keep that edge, you're going to have quite a point, and you're going to have a gap here. So your stitching should be no more than like that, like 1/4 of an inch, even if that. This is way too wide, and the reason this is so long is because this is wide. If it was, it would be short. You see? That you don't do. So, what else don't you do? I have the points. And the inside points. In order to put these on, what you do is you, for every penny, a diamond goes in the middle of that penny, it attaches on. I really left too much of this edging, and that shouldn't be that much of a blanket stitch on that edge, because these don't go on properly. They should go up here. They should be attached right here instead of down there. It looks good, it looks fine, it's just not the way it's supposed to be done. And on your inside edges, see if I can find one. Here's one. You notice this one, and I didn't stitch these together, so look how they open up. So you really need to stitch these together tight. On this one, you have to be very careful when you cut your edge that you don't get too close. This is probably the right size, just a little edging like that. For some reason, I couldn't get a diamond in there. It's a diamond that should be in there, but it didn't work. It overlapped, and it was just too many, so I don't know. I probably could put one in there, but the spacing didn't work for some reason. So be careful when you cut your edging that you don't go too close on your inside edge. You have to go close for your blanket stitch, but sometimes you can go really too close and you don't have enough space here to put your other diamond. This one should have been over here. This one, see, this one's out of sync. It should have been up here, and then the diamond would have worked. So it's important to not have a large edging. You have to trim that so these can go where they're supposed to, and then it will work out right. And of course you won't have that long part here on your diamond. The other thing is, and I did not realize this until probably the last week when I was starting to figure out what I was going to do for the video and that sort of thing. I will show you on the open one. This one is red. This one is green. So greens go opposite. Reds go opposite. These go opposite. And I didn't do it right, because for some reason I have this wrong in the center, and I'll show you on the one that we're doing the correct way to do it. Because although it looks right, it doesn't seem to look any different. I'll bring it around, let's see, this way? There. So when you do it, you have you have that, and then you have a penny in the center, which I don't have. But all of these are 7 by 7. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only have 6 there, and how did I do that? This is way off kilter somehow. But you don't notice it. This side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's a 6 by 7 diamond instead of 7 by 7. But you don't really notice it. So those are some of the things that you need to watch out for. And as I was doing this rug, I was sort of figuring out how to do it. I didn't have the rug together like yours. I did half, so that made a big difference with these. I was doing a row across. You notice that they're going row across, and that's how I did mine. But it doesn't make for the center to be right, because that shouldn't be a six-sided, 6 by 7 sided triangle. And the same with this one. I did this one by rows. Yours is put together, so we can do it a little bit different there and make it come out correct. So those are some of the things that to watch out for. The outside edge, make sure you don't have a large area of stitching. You have to have like a 1/4 inch for these to work and work out right. These have to set in between rather than way down here. It should be up here instead of way down there. That blanket stitching shouldn't be there that close. It should be very small. Be careful when you do your corners, when you're cutting, to do trimming up your edges of your diamonds. Be careful when you do that inside corner. Maybe it's better just, instead of doing a point, just to go and round it a bit. And this decorative piece should go up there, and it'll hide that round, and it'll be much better. And be very careful that you don't have these long points with nothing here, and that is because of the wide stitching. You also could round that off if you didn't want to. I mean, it wouldn't be seen, it would be in back there, but that's your choice. But it should have been like that, and then this should have been right there. This shouldn't be at all. So now I think we'll start with putting the diamonds together and doing the stitching.